Hello, boys and girls. Lord Hawkeye here again. I don't believe you've met my warlock. Say hello. Anyways, well, I keep putting out the challenges and they keep getting ignored for some strange reason. Statists like to tell me that monopolies are a huge problem in society, and yet I ask for examples of these and I can't seem to get a single one. Not one single free market monopoly that happened with no state help. I've asked them to try and sell statism without sounding like a complete psycho, and they don't do that either. And for today's ridiculous argument of the day, though, when I fall in the moral condemnation argument, which I think is a very sound one, what do? They try and tell me that government is not coercive. It's not backed by violence. I totally am just scaremongering. Oh boy, this is gonna be fun, won't it? So government is not coercive. It's not violent. It's totally voluntary. Then that's what they're trying to say. Okay. Well, let's put that one to the test, shall we? So when I try and say that and this is the argument I try to say, I don't object to the ideas. What I object is them being forced through violence. Like when the healthcare nuts whine to me, I always say, I'm not objecting to the idea of pooling resources for a common good. People do that all the time. I mean, I'm all for mutual aid societies. That should be your big clue right there. The problem is, when you back it up with violence, you will ruin even the best laid plans. It happens all the time. Every single time, use violence, you will get the opposite result you intended. People just don't seem to want to learn that lesson. But anyways, back to the old state isn't violent thing. So, if you want to make that claim, then allow me to give you a chance to put your skills where your mouth is, so to speak. Think carefully. I want you to think very carefully and tell me, think of something that your government does that you don't like, that you disagree with, you think is immoral, you think is wrong. I know there has to be something. Don't try and tell me it. Don't tell me there isn't something. Like, is it the war in Iraq? Is it the war on drugs? Is it special interests they give money to? Is it paying themselves too much? Think. It's got to be something. Something the state does that you don't like. Just think of that. Now, with that in mind, if taxation is voluntary, then it stands to reason that you should not have to pay for that if you don't want it. After all, in any kind of voluntary exchange, it means you can choose not to make the exchange if you don't want to. That's only fair, right? This is why I ask people, you like healthcare, but the question is, am I allowed to disagree with you? Because if I am allowed to disagree with you, then it stands to reason that I should be allowed to not pay for public healthcare if I don't think it's doing a good job. And I don't. I think they waste money. I don't think they spend it wisely, and I think they skim off the top way too much and give the people who actually need it the crumbs, and I find that quite despicable. And I'm sure there's something the state does that you feel that way about. So, with that in mind, getting back to the point, think about what the state does that you don't agree with, calculate how much of the budget, what percent of the budget the state spends on that thing, and withhold that much from your taxes. Be sure to write a letter saying, I am withholding this from my taxes because I don't agree with you doing this, so I want to opt out of it. I do not think I should have to pay for that because I don't agree with what you're doing. I dare you to try that. I dare you to try that. And then, maybe you can see just how voluntary your precious government actually is. And if you're not going to do that, then kindly stop spamming my channels and talking out of your ass and not backing up your claims. Because frankly, quite frankly, to try and claim that the government is not coercive and is not backed by violence is stupidity so profound that it is almost indistinguishable from outright malicious intent. That's my take. If you don't like it, then prove me wrong and answer the challenge. If not, then kindly be silent. Thank you very much. Until next time, be aware and be wise.